Hey guys, it's Dave from Flaming Wreckage here. Absolutely stoked to be playing at Killfest, one of Australia's coolest regional festivals, in my opinion. So thanks for having us, Crispy.
No worries at all, Dave. Thanks for joining us again, brother.
No worries.
As you mentioned, man, Flaming Wreckage are gearing up to play at this year's Killfest at the Old Kilmore Goal this Saturday night, mate, with Psycroptic, Skeletal Remains, Dreadnaught, Innasanatorium, and more, mate. So it sounds like an awesome show.
Yeah, it's really sick. We had the honour of playing it last year. Yeah, it's really cool to see so many like regional festivals popping up around Australia, and this one's one of the best, I reckon. Like you can't go wrong with that venue. It's in like an old jail, really cool vibe. Yeah, Mick puts on an awesome show, and like this lineup's pretty unbeatable as well. We got a couple of heavy hitters up the top, so yeah, I reckon it's going to be a ripper.
Probably pretty much the only time you can ever go to a jail, and you know you're going to be comfortable getting out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We might have to get dragged out after the amount of beers we have, though. So,
so out of that lineup, bro, who are you most looking forward to playing with, and why?
I mean, we did a couple of shows with Skeletal Remains the other week, which was real cool. It's going to be sick to see them there. Psycroptic as well. Like we played with those dudes quite a few times. So I'm really looking forward to seeing in Sanitarium though. I've had Mick's got big raps on those dudes over from Perth, so really looking forward to seeing them. But yeah, it's pretty wall to wall quality. I reckon have to get down early and see if we can check everyone out. But yeah, definitely the dudes up the top. You can't go wrong with that, man. It's awesome to see like some international bands on these, regional festivals as well. It's killer.
Mm-hmm. And as we sort of spoke about earlier on, bro, like you guys played last year's first Killfest and opened, but this year you've got a slot a bit further advanced, mate. So what can we expect different from Flaming Wreckage in your set this year to what we did last year?
Well, last year we were a bit of a late addition to the festival, so we didn't have heaps of time. We'll have time for a few extra songs this year, so yeah, we'll be able to play a few more songs off the latest album, and we've been mixing up the set a little bit. So yeah, we've kind of if we're doing a festival, we like to keep it pretty hard and fast, so keep everyone moshing the whole time. So yeah, you can expect a pretty heavy one from us.
Fuck yeah. And you guys are pretty much a touring machine, mate. So what have you got lined up after Killfest? I'm sure you got heaps.
Yeah, that's about it for the year. We've got one more, but it's not announced yet, so I can't divulge that one just yet, unfortunately. But it'll be good. But yeah, next year we're in the studio in February, which will be exciting. But we've still got a few shows around that as well. We're playing with Unearth from the States in January. And then, yeah, we've got Canberra Metal Fest as well. That's in February. So, yeah, got a few bits and pieces are coming in. But, yeah, the main priority is definitely getting that album done. It's been a long process getting that written, and we're still kind of going there. But, yeah, really excited to get into the studio again.
Oh. And like I said, mate, like Flaming Wreckage are a band who seem to continually be on the road. So how difficult is that in the modern age to sustain?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good way to spend your time, I'd argue. But,
That's right.
yeah, it's super fun, man. Like, we wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. But yeah, I mean, the last few years, obviously, we've had to dodge a few bullets, like coming out of COVID and stuff. Like the album tour we did last year was pretty hectic. Like there was a few shows where we just managed to slide into Perth, like either side of lockdowns. And, if we were there like 2 weeks later, it would have been a very different story. So we were pretty lucky in that regard. But then we also had a lot of cancelled stuff as well. So I think the secret is just to keep going back to all those places and just keep gigging and just playing with as many bands as you can, and yeah, just getting the word out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just got to be relentless with it. Like, there's we get a lot of turnover from our merch, and playing shows is the best way to get that over the line. So yeah, and it's just great to connect with fans like on a regular basis. I think that's really the key to successful touring.
Oh. So as a band, bro, like what sorts of things do you learn about yourselves and your music as part of touring life?
Well, I think when you're out on the road, if you can't figure something, like if there's any problems and you can't solve them within a day, you're in a band with the wrong people. So it's one of those things. Like people always say it's 23 hours of bullshit for 1 hour of the best thing ever. So you got to be patient. You just got to learn to take the good with the bad. There's so many Spinal Tap moments whenever you do any tour, but that's they're the stories you look back on. So I think it really teaches you some really valuable people skills and just patience generally. But yeah, like, you know, just from road dogging in a band, it's just a really good way to learn about yourself. You've definitely got a lot of time to think about it, that's for sure.
Sure. We touched on this before, mate, but you've already written the follow-up to last year's album, Cathedral of Bones. So what can you tell us about that? Like, what can fans expect musically? Is it similar sort of style, or is there a few surprises?
Yeah, there's a few surprises in there. Like, as I said, like, the last album was released in like COVID times, so we actually started writing this one before that one even came out, just because we were in a bit of a holding pattern. We had nothing, didn't really have any gigs or anything, so just decided to get stuck into writing the next one. And yeah, we're pretty we're our own worst enemy with like rewriting things. We're really, really hard on ourselves, just trying to get the best thing we can out of it. But yeah, it's, you know, it's cool. Like, this will be our 4th record, so we're trying to throw a few more curveballs in there in terms of just you know, more interesting guitar parts, and you know, it still sounds like us, that's for sure. But it's just a few of those extra little flavors on top of the you know, general sort of thrash death thing that we do. Yeah, you know, I mean, we're a band of many different influences, so it's always cool to, I think, like, as this lineup's had a bit more time to gel, all those different influences sort of come to the table, and it's creating something really cool and interesting. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Oh. And along those lines, bro, like, Flaming Wreckage released your first album, Catharsis, in 2013, which was followed by From Flesh to Dust in 2017, and then, of course, Cathedral of Bones. So how would you say your music's grown or changed over the course of those albums?
Yeah, it's funny, like, we're thinking about, like I said, we change up the set all the time. So I was just we're thinking about playing some older ones on the next couple of shows next year, and just listening to where we were at then compared to where we're at now. I think it just comes back to what I just touched on there. Like, the first album, like, I pretty much played everything on that except for drums, so there was less outside influences coming in to create what Flaming Wreckage has become. It was very much like, it was sort of just me and the other guys in the band at that time were sort of, you know, finding their feet as well. So where we're at now with like a really cohesive, strong lineup with like very defined influences, that, yeah, when they come together, it's just, and with each album you do, that becomes more defined, and yeah, it's really exciting to hear that change and grow and evolve every time we get together and do some writing. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way. I think the songs have become a little bit more mature, and yeah, just we'd like to keep it open to more influences these days. I think back on the Catharsis, it was just pretty much like straight, you know, Lamb of God sort of vibe, and there wasn't heaps of room for much else. So like, even myself, I wasn't listening to that much outside of metal around that time, but like, yeah, I listen to all sorts of shit now, so it just makes for just a wider reaching product, I guess. And like, I've always said that, like, you know, the more genres you can get your ears around, the more interesting the music you're going to write is going to be. Especially in metal, it's like it can get a little bit samey sometimes. So, you know, if you can bring some extra influences to the table, it really keeps it interesting for the people listening and the people playing it as well.
Yeah, cool. So would you say Flaming Wreckage have found your core sound yet, or are you still sort of places for you to go musically?
Oh, there's always places to go, but I think the last album was like where we really hit our stride with that, and it's like you kind of hone into that one direction and then take that forward whilst adding all those elements I was just talking about. But yeah, you know, that's the thing. It can take 10. We've been a band for over 10 years, and it can take that long to figure that out. You know, there's so much out there, and I think like any band that has, you know, writes like a seminal album, like when they first start, it's just like either a freak occurrence or, you know, like it's so rare for that to happen. Like these days, there's just so much music out there, and, you know, so yeah, I'm totally fine with that. You know, I'll take the long road if it means it's going to be quality. So yeah, all by me.
It has, Dave. All right, mate. Well, thanks very much for your time tonight. Flaming Wreckage will be playing at Killfest this Saturday, November 26th, with bands like Skeletal Remains, Psycroptic, Dreadnaught, Innasanatorium, and heaps more. So get yourself along. There's still tickets left, I believe. Not a heap, but there's still some left. So get yourself one and get on and rock out.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, man. It's going to be a ripper.
Right, enjoy your weekend.